Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Dr. John Michael Salvato here. And before we begin, because I'm such a smart ass, I'm going to start off with a screen share that this broadcast is TVMA for mature audiences only. We're going to be talking about some things today that you might want to cover the kids' ears because they're things I feel really passionate about. So I just couldn't resist that. Obviously, with my sarcasm coming back, you can tell that I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Still rough. It's still going to be a journey. I understand that, and I'm not pushing myself. So, guys, don't please know that I'm not pushing myself. This will be probably a shorter broadcast. I'm just thrilled that the doctor was. Well, I'm not thrilled that the doctor had an emergency, but I'm happy that that allowed me to be able to spend some time with you guys because today's mind shift was something I really wanted to talk about, and that was, was that the responsibility for self-control is an inside-out job, and there's a saying in the ancient scripts that says, it's not what goes into our body that defiles us, but that which comes out of our bodies. And so many times, I can't think of a better example than this chaotic bullshit that we're seeing over Colin Kaepernick, as so many so-called patriots are sitting there whining about how horrible a person he is. The very same people who said nothing about Ryan Lochte lying last week in Rio, but how horrible a person he is because he refused to salute the flag or honor the a racist Star Spangled Banner. And so I'm not here to address that, but I want to point out how if we don't if that's reactionary, that's people that are getting caught up in external things, which is what the media wants you to do, by the way. And it's about diverting your attention from the truth of a matter to the spin they would like to put on it. This is a great illustration, a great example. The media would like you to think that Colin Kaepernick dishonored military vets because supposedly, imaginarily, the Star Spangled Banner is about vets. Well, here's a news flash for you: it has nothing to do with our vets. Anybody with a second or third grade education understands that it's called the Star Spangled Banner, i.e., the flag, not the vets. But let's just pretend for a minute that it was about the vets. If we really look inside ourselves, then we have to start to ask, what is the truth of the matter? And the truth of the matter is that the U.S. Constitution, that those vets are fighting to defend, grants Mr. Kaepernick the right to protest or sit down or silently make a statement about the injustice, the racism, the violence, and the corruption in this country. And so I stand with him, but I wanted to use that as an example today because let's just move this out of the political realm. Let's move this into the realm of everything that we see on a daily basis. And we are being manipulated constantly, not just by our government, not just by the media, not just by large groups and special interests, but by everybody, every external force. And so those manipulations can lead us down a dangerous path. Those manipulations can lead us to making some bad choices. Those manipulations can be even manipulations from ourselves based on our external perceptions. But when we stop and we come back to the moment, we look within ourselves and we allow that inner wisdom, by whatever name you choose to call it, to give us clear vision, clear sight, to remember our core values, then all of a sudden it becomes clear what we need to do. It becomes clear how we should proceed in life. I just actually got busted by Craig, who said, "I see that you're doing, I see that you're doing your class. So much for staying in bed." Oh well, um, busted. Hi, Craig. So I wanted that mind shift because I see some of this chaos that's going on, and that chaos can happen in our business worlds too. It can happen when you have companies. One of our leaders, who actually happens to be here today, and I'm not gonna put anybody on the spot, But one of our leaders was getting badgered by a president of another company who was making lots of accusations but with no substance. When she said, well, can you give me an example of one ingredient that I should be concerned about? Of course, he had no answer because they're scare tactics. You know, when we allow ourselves to move from the inside out, nothing can defile us. It's not what comes in from the outside. It's what we bring forth. And so that also means it's our response. You know, it would be very easy for me to just lash out at every person who posted a hateful diatribe against Colin Kaepernick and say, are you out of your effing mind? You're a moron. You know, but I realized this morning that when I made a comment about those hypocrites, those effing hypocrites who criticize him, and my own mother said, well, then your father and I are effing hypocrites, then I realized that even sometimes making a simple observation, and it doesn't mean that I don't think that anybody who's criticized him are hypocrites, but even sometimes the way that we phrase that can be hurtful for people, and that wasn't my intention. You know, I have no desire to hurt the people that are stupid in this world. Their stupidity is hurtful enough. And so we have to watch what comes out, because that's what defiles us. We have to watch our response to the things around us, because those are the things that defile us. And it comes back to that idea of fear. You know, the kids are, let's say our kids are becoming teenagers, they're getting ready to go on their first date, and we have a responsibility to watch what comes out of our mouths, because if we're communicating from fear, we're creating the causes and conditions for that family member to not be safe. You know, worrying about them, you know, oh, well, what's going to happen if this, and what's going to happen if that, and what's going to happen now. It doesn't mean that, you know, the parents are going to be free of worry. That's one of the burdens of parenthood, and has been probably since time immemorial. But it means that what we say, what we do with those concerns, is we can either let them be concerns and express them and say, I want to make sure that you're safe, or we can say the kinds of things that we hear from parents that are just fear-based, and no, you're not going to the mall, and no, you're not going there, because this could happen to you and that could happen to you. And now we've just planted fear into the hearts of a young person entrusted to our care. And the same thing happens with our organization. You know, you can tell people it's the end of the month and you've got X number of hours left to accomplish your goals, or you're just going to lose half of your paycheck. And that might be true, but if you don't follow up with that by saying, hey, you know what, as long as you're trying, you did a great job. And I started to do that last night with people who I knew were probably not going to get to their goals, and said, hey, look, you know, just because you're going to lose half your paycheck now doesn't mean that you should stop trying today. Because in my case, I'm $500 away from $550 away from hitting gold for the month. Now, would I like to do that? Yes. Were I not in the hospital, I certainly would have accomplished it. But if I don't get there, it's not the end of the world. And I'm that much closer next month as I continue to push forward. And so I just shared that with everybody and said, hey, you know what? I haven't met my goals yet either for the month. You know, I really and truly thought that I'd have gold in the bag a week ago and was going to be halfway to platinum by now. But that's not the way that it worked out, and that's okay. So it's what comes out that can either defile us or create a better world. So my challenge for you today is to consider letting for you know, at least today, make the commitment one day at a time, that at least for today, that the things that come out of your mouth are going to help to create a better world. They're going to help to create understanding, are going to be words that help to lift up and bring together rather than divide and cause pain. So that's what I have to say. I'm going to open it up to you guys to share whatever you have to say. It's probably the shortest I have ever spoken in the history of this program, but I really am kind of weak today. Miss Kitty, anything you want to say there? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry, that was, I had another train wreck moment. My son decided right then and there he's just going to drop his diaper and just walk through the house. So But yeah, awesome. Uh, about the
There's a good example of what could come out should this file.
yeah, that was. This has become a regular thing now. He thinks that's just the greatest thing ever, and I'm just like, breathe. It's not, don't make a big deal about it. Just take a breath. It's going to be okay. Yeah, one of the better things I've ever heard is it's easier to raise whole children than it is to fix a broken adult. So it's like, okay, just take a breath. The whole thing with Colin and yeah, like I wrote yesterday, my first reaction was, who the frig are you? I mean, I'll be the first one to say it. I got really upset because it's like, Yomo, my mom, my dad, my father-in-law, my husband, I got cops on my family. It's like, who do you think you are? What gives you the right? That was the one that I kept saying. What gives you the right? And it's like, oh, wait, yeah, the First Amendment. It's like, yeah, the First Amendment, that thing that everybody loves using until it's used for something they don't want it to be used for. And it's like, oh, yeah, damn. Yeah, that kind of thing. And I wrote something. My father never reads anything I write unless he thinks he can turn it into a political argument with me. I love my dad, I really do, but he never reads anything. It's like my husband, never reads anything I write. He read this, and for the first time ever, I got a, I'm proud of you, kid. And it's like, really? This is the craziest thing ever. And I think with writing what I did yesterday, I actually got through to a couple people. And some people say, you may not like what she said, but she's right, guys. She's totally right. And it's like, everybody here has the same right. We have the right to say whatever we want without persecution, without prosecution. Everyone's calling for him to, get kicked out of the NFL and go to Canada, which I'm like, Canada has football? Oh, yeah, Doug Flutie, that's right. And it's like, not for nothing, but we've got rapists, murderers, domestic abusers on the NFL. Nobody says nothing about them. One cat just got filmed beating his dog, and he got suspended for six games. You got to be kidding me, right? And this guy just sat down peacefully, said, this is my statement. I'm not starting a riot. I'm not starting fights. I'm not inciting violence. I'm speaking my mind peacefully. A player on the Eagles is doing the same thing. And I'm like, right on, They're doing it the right way. You want to make change, be the change. You want to say, I'm against violence. Well, this is the way Mother Teresa said to do it. You may be against violence, but be for love. Be for peace, and show that. So, yeah, okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I think too that it again is just an opportunity for us to look at those examples in our own lives. We may not have the bully pulpit to be able to stand up and make those kinds of changes, but the things that come out of our lives, if we become that beacon of light, again, that ancient script talks about being the light of the world, and if that light's under a bushel, it's lost something crucial. In other words, the ability for us to and yeah, I just quoted Stephen Schwartz more than I did the Bible, but it's that the idea is that a light hidden under a bushel does no good for the world. That if we're going to be that beacon of light, we're going to light the path. Doesn't mean we're going to push people along the path. It doesn't mean that our responsibility is to drag them onto the path. It just means that we illuminate the path itself. And I see that as being my role, my responsibility as a coach and as a teacher, is not to push people down this road. Even in network marketing, as a business coach, my job is not to push somebody to reach any particular level in the business or to achieve any particular rank or goal, but it's to light the way so that whatever the goal is for them, let's put this in a focus for the business. Some of the people that you'll bring into the business, their only goal is to get their product for free. so that it not be another burden for them. Others, it might be just to make enough money to make that car payment. So they don't need to want to have to become a Crown Diamond or a Grand Poobah or whatever your company calls it. They just need $300 a month. The average house in North America that went into foreclosure last year could have been saved with 372 extra dollars of income. For many people, that's all that they're looking for. And so we want to make sure that what comes out of us is supportive and uplifting and edifying to those around us. And that's the idea behind this. Kathy, anything you want to share as you listen in today?
Mixed emotions. When you first said that, when I first heard about the guy sitting down and then you going along with it, it's brought up a negative feeling, and because I'm proud of America, I'm proud to be an American, I'm proud to be here. I'll stand, I'll salute the flag. I'm more upset with the government and what we've allowed, how we've allowed it to be so powerful and not go. It's not for the people anymore, and our rights are getting messed up, and so I'm not happy with the way things are going, but I'm still proud that I'm American, and I still want to portray that. But I agree with what the two of you are saying, that we have if we don't want to stand, it's our right. It's our right to say what we feel, and they have the right to do that. So, I don't know what else to say about that, except that that's what's so great about America.
Right. And I agree with you. I thank you for sharing that, because that I think we're all in agreement there. I wouldn't personally be somebody, I wouldn't be comfortable, I wouldn't feel authentic if I said I were proud of America, because there's a lot more that America's done that disgusts me than makes me proud. But I also understand that those who are a little bit older than me have actually had much greater cause to be proud of what the America was that they grew up in, not so much for me. And I think that, as you said, just as I would defend your right to salute the flag and to get chills over the Star-Spangled Banner, unless you actually knew what all of the verses were, I would defend the other person's right to protest that. I'm kind of more neutral about that. I really don't I don't pledge allegiance to any flags or any countries. My allegiance is a spiritual allegiance to the divine within, so I don't like to recognize the lines we drew in the sand. But the last time, I do like to point out, as you kind of just mentioned too, the last time people were forced to salute a flag, forced to pledge allegiance, it wasn't a hand over the heart, it was like this. And I want us to remember that. And I think all three of us actually understand that. And so, but my real, it wasn't really the purpose to talk about Colin Kaepernick. While I support his right to do what he wants, and I agree with you, Kathy, that I am appalled at what this country continues to do in the name of supposedly protecting our freedoms. The very fact that we have a Department of Homeland Security frightens the hell out of me. But this was really to talk more about being mindful for us as individuals, because we may not be able to change the government overnight, but we can change our response to the government. We can change our response to our cities. We can change our response to one another, and to be mindful of the fact that it's not what goes into us that defiles us, but it's what comes out. And so self-control is an inside job. Self-control is something that is all about becoming more mindful of what my reaction to anything is, positive or negative. There are some people who something great happens in their life, and because the self-control is missing, they go out and they find themselves the next day in the bottom of a bottle of bourbon. That's because that's a response to something positive that happened, that they had no self-control. Same thing can happen on the other side. Something negative happens, they go out and jump into the bottle of bourbon. Usually the problem is the response, and it doesn't really matter whether it was a positive or negative event. The response was, I'm going to go jump into a bottle of bourbon. And if we look at honestly what happens in a lot of things, a lot of the people that are getting their panties in a knot over Colin Kaepernick, it has nothing to do with the flag or or their pride in America or anything else. It's they're feeling frustrated about losing so many rights, as Kathy so aptly pointed out, that the only thing that they still have freedom to do is bitch on Facebook. And so they're going to do what they feel that they can do before that right gets taken away. So I just want us all to kind of be mindful of that, to recognize self-control is an inside job. That's our mind shift for today, and I really thank Kathy and Kathy and Jennifer for taking the time to share so honestly, so that we could see that in this great forum, this great experiment that we are a part of, that we can have differing points of view and not be threatened by them. We can have different perspectives and come from different paths and different ways and walks of life, and find that there's a common ground there, and that common ground is always love. And whenever we are not able to stand on that common ground, then we're operating from fear. And fear is a deceiver. Fear is a lie. And the love is always there at the bottom of the day, at the end of the pile. If you scrape away all the crap, you'll find that common ground. And so I hope this has been helpful for you guys today that are watching on the rebroadcast, and I hope it's been helpful for Kathy and Jennifer, and it certainly has been for me to be able to really kind of flesh this out, and to really flesh it out within about 30 minutes time, because that was the topic for today on the curriculum, but I didn't do any work on what was I going to say in the video, because I had planned on doing this tomorrow. And so we brought it. I think sometimes some of these more impromptu things are more raw, more real, and give us a chance to really get to the heart of the matter. So make sure that today you stay in the moment. Make sure that you recognize that it's your responsibility and mine to be more mindful of what's coming out of our mouths, going into this world. That's what defiles. And to know that the present moment is where the power is, the present moment is where the grace is, the goodness, the wholeness, the prosperity, and that always the best is yet to come. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here.